Trigger warning.
Daniel Perez was born in Texas in 1959. He was a lonely, closed-off child growing up. However, once he got older, he was a lot more charismatic. This charisma gained him many followers of his spiritual cult. Perez gave the cult the name Angel's Landing, named after Angel's Landing Commune, an isolated plot of land in a rural area near Wichita. The commune was a house on a 20-acre plot of land. Perez told his followers that he was an angel who was hundreds of years old and that he had various magical powers. Many of the people who followed him were extremely vulnerable and wanted so desperately for something to help them and to be provided with some guidance. For almost the whole duration of the cult's lifespan, it was Perez and a group of families. A smaller cult compared to some, but still with disastrous results. Things started to turn sinister when Perez began to tell the members that he needed to have sex with their children, or he would die. He used the excuse that he was an angel to get away with this heinous lie, and as his followers looked up to him so much, and he gave them so much hope, they didn't want anything to happen to him. He would repeatedly rape children on the commune, and one of the witnesses stated, "I was 10 when my childhood was over. While other 10-year-olds were riding bikes or playing with dolls, I was laying naked in a bed with a pillow over my head, just waiting for it to be over. While other 13-year-olds were getting boyfriends and holding hands, I was holding on to my secret and losing the people I loved one by one. When other 16-year-olds were experiencing the freedom of learning how to drive and planning parties with their friends, I was planning my own death every day when I drove to school." One of the survivors, Sarah, stated that Perez raped her repeatedly, saying that he was fixing her. "There was nothing I could do," she said. "I remember saying, 'Am I fixed now?'" His sex offender registry indicates he began abusing children in 2001 and that the abuse spanned more than a decade. Perez's sexual charges weren't even the worst of his crimes, if you can believe it.
To murder Patricia Hughes.
No.
Did you in any way kill Patricia Hughes?
No.
Was that an accident?
Yes.
Were you even there when it happened?
No.
Did you in any way force sex on Emily when she was underage?
No.
Any way force sex on Emily at any time by
No.
force or fear or threat?
Perez had no job and no income, yet had his lot on Angel's Landing and also had numerous nice cars. Which led people to question, how can he afford all of these things? This leads us to the next half of Perez's evil crimes. His cult, or himself, was motivated by greed. Over the duration of the cult's lifetime, numerous members of the cults would just disappear without a trace, or die in a mysterious accident. There were 6 deaths at Angel's Landing over the course of 7 years. Ron Goldwyn stated that Perez is either very unlucky with very close friends dying, or he's involved in some way in making it happen. The Angel's Landing cult was ultimately not housed in one place. The group moved from state to state, making it very difficult to track Perez and his crimes. To make it even harder to track, he also changed his name and went under various different aliases, such as Lou Castro. Prosecutors said at his trial that he aimed to use life insurance proceeds from the deaths of his followers to live a lavish lifestyle. Among his victims was Patricia Hughes. She was only 26. She was a wife and a mother who lived and died at Angel's Landing. Hughes's death was initially ruled as an accident, but years later, the truth of the murder fully surfaced. Perez encouraged one of the girls to lie on his behalf. However, she went back to the police station to explain herself. This allowed Daniel Perez's case to really be developed and ultimately led to his arrest. The girl told police that when she was 11, she heard a splash and a scream. Then she saw Perez wet and out of breath. He said to the witness that Hughes knew she was going to die, kissed her daughter goodbye, and said she would soon return from the dead. Perez then held Hughes underwater until she drowned, went to a car dealership to establish an alibi, came back, jumped into the pool with the toddler, then dialed 911. Previously, the witness had lied and said that Hughes had fallen in and drowned in the pool after trying to save her toddler. After this massive revelation, it became clear how Perez was getting his money, collecting millions of dollars in life insurance payouts, and that the 6 deaths were connected to the cult. He collected more than $1 million in life insurance payouts from Hughes's death alone. Another example of an accidental death involved Hughes's husband, Brian. He died in a freak accident at the auto body shop where he worked in March 2006.
Since Brian generally knew what he was doing when working under a car, and found it unlikely that he would so casually kick the jack.
One day he called and he spoke to Lou for a little while, and then he asked to speak to his daughter, who was still in Wichita. And the story goes that he told her goodbye.
Told his daughter goodbye.
Right.
He knew his way around a vehicle.
Right.
And then he was dead.
Yeah.
Brian had become very depressed and was talking to Perez more often. One of the survivors said that Perez was telling Brian that one day you'll get your chance to go to the other side, and died shortly later. Authorities spent 9 years investigating Perez and finally had enough information to arrest him. Daniel Perez was convicted of 20 counts of sexual abuse of children, with victims ranging in age from only 8 years old to 16. The charges included rape, aggravated criminal sodomy, sexual exploitation of a child, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and the murder of Patricia Hughes. During the trial, Perez made no mention of being an angel, but claimed that a genital injury preventing him from having sex with uncooperative partners, and that they had all been of legal age. The judge said the evidence consecutively shows Perez used people as mere objects to fulfill his desire for money, sex, and a lavish lifestyle. He was sentenced to the maximum sentence for these crimes and will not be eligible for parole until he is 120 years old. Perez is now serving his time in prison, and according to his record, he now has a job in the prison, although there is no information as to what that job entails.
What cult should I speak about next? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.